Hey. Okay, this section is solving two-step inequalities, which means we're going to be getting rid of addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. And I want you to remember, once again, the order of operations is to do things that are grouped first, parentheses, and then do the exponents, and then all the multiplication and division, and then all the addition and subtraction. When you're undoing an equation, which is what we're doing right now, we're undoing an inequality, you're going to do all of these things in reverse. So the first thing you're going to get rid of is addition and subtraction. Think about it like this. When you get dressed in the morning, you'd put on your pants, and then your socks, and then your shoes. If you want to get undressed in the evening to go to bed, you don't take your pants off first. You have to take your shoes off first. So you do the exact opposite thing in the exact opposite order. Okay. The school band gets $5 for each t-shirt they sell at a fundraiser. If they have a goal of raising $150, so far they've raised $45. How many more t-shirts do they have to sell to meet or exceed their goal? It doesn't tell us what letter to use for t-shirts, so let's use a T. T equals t-shirt. Number of t-shirts. If you are going to use a T, I want to encourage you to use a capital T because lowercase t's look like pluses. Okay, so every time they sell a t-shirt, they get $5. Their goal is to raise $150. They have already raised $45. So $5 per t-shirt plus $45. They want it to be $150 minimum. So they either want their final number to equal 150, or they would be totally okay if it was bigger than 150. And remember, the tricky way to write this is greater than or equal to. They try to get so clever on us. Okay, so to get the letter T by itself, we've got the two sides of our inequality. And the first thing we're going to do, way down here, is we're going to get rid of all of the addition and subtraction that's happening to the T. Right now, the only thing that's getting added or subtracted is this plus 45. So we're going to remove 45 from both sides. Now check this out, okay? What's happening is we're getting $5 a t-shirt, but we don't really have to raise $150 because we've already raised some. So really, we only want, our goal is to raise $105 or more. We want it to be equal to $105 or greater than 105. Because then when you put that 45 back in there, you're at the goal that you had at the beginning. So to get T by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 5. Boom. T is now alone, and it's greater than or equal to 21. So if we sell 21 t-shirts, we're going to have $150. If we sell more than 21 t-shirts, then we've exceeded our goal. Nice job. Okay, that's it for that question. It's not so bad. So the second question, the last question here, this is another one that has sort of a tricky part to it. So we've got -8 minus 1/3 n is less than or equal to -25. Just like all the other times, we're going to try to isolate this n, and we're going to get rid of any addition or subtraction that's happening to that n. And right now, that's just -8. So it's pretty easy to get rid of that by adding 8 to both sides. Okay, now, everybody, if you're down 25 and you go up 8, that means you are now, you're still down 17? Is that right? If you have $25 in debt and you add $8, now you're only $17? I think I'm right. If I'm not right, somebody will tell me. And I know who. Okay, so I've got -1/3 n is less than or equal to -17. So this is the part, there's two things here that are tricky. We have to get rid of a fraction, and that fraction happens to be negative. So I'm not going to do that tricky little thing I did in the last example. I'm going to do it the other way this time. I know I'm going to have to divide both sides by negative 1/3. And remember, dividing by a fraction means you are multiplying by the reciprocal of that fraction, right? And since what I want down here to be a positive n, that means that this number needs to be negative because a negative times a negative is a positive. So these guys cancel each other out and n is all by itself. But since we multiplied the left-hand side by -3, we have to multiply the right-hand side by -3 also. -17 times -3, a negative times a negative is a positive, happens to be positive 51. Here's the tricky part. Because the number we multiplied by was a negative, that means this symbol has to flip. And remember, if you're super confused about why it flips when this number happens to be a negative, watch that other video. It's only when you're multiplying and dividing, and it's only when it's negative. The fact that that 17 was negative makes no difference. It's that red -3 that makes the difference. That's it for this one.